return, but Alice did not return to the girl she once was. She became violent, angry at almost everything, had a violent fits of laughter out of nowhere, and often fought or stole from others. It was strange. She felt as if her mind was replaced with someone else's, and, of course, after being expelled, she had no choice but to stay in her room. No eating, not talking, completely void of interaction. This continued for many months, until her migraines became worse. Her head pounded against her skull until she screamed and cried, begging for it to stop. She couldn't go to a doctor or a therapist. They would surely call her insane and put her into asylum. She couldn't let that happen. Then, one day, after a particular violent drunk outburst from Mr. Rogers that left her with cuts over her arms, as she sobbed and her mind pounded against his chamber, she began to feel weaker and weaker until her vision went black. When she awoke, she found herself laying on the floor of her bedroom. Her muscles ached as if they were torn apart, only to be slowly sewn together. She got up, headache gone, extremely tired and hungry. She walked downstairs, stumbling towards the kitchen, violently opening the fridge door. Nothing. It was almost completely bare. Sighing, she pulled on her hoodie and slipping on her black Converse and walked out the door. Walking out to the closest grocery store, she passed a television store when a particular news report caught her interest on one of the televisions. Breaking news. Man found violently beaten to death with a blunt instrument. More at 11. From the Burnett News women. Alice continued to walk home, the cold autumn wind blowing past her. Grocery bags slumped at her side. When she entered the home, there was no sign of Mr. Rogers. Relieved, she threw the bags onto the counter of the kitchen, grabbing a can of soup to make for dinner. She turned on the television, flipping to the channel of the news station from earlier. Same Burnett woman sitting holding papers in her manicured hands. Man killed at 6:15 today. Found him in an alleyway of Richard Street. He was a Caucasian male, around his mid-40s. Several of his limbs and even the head of the corpse are missing, so his identity is unrecognizable. The woman continued with insignificant details. After finishing her soup, she walked up the stairs. She stopped when she smelled something putrid. She continued to walk up the steps until she froze. A sledgehammer lay in the hallway, covered in blood. In a panic, she ran into her bedroom and slammed the door. She breathed heavily, her heart pounding against her ears, until she let out a blood-curdling scream. Her room was completely covered in circles, written in blood, from the walls to the ceiling. At the top of her bed lay the caved-in skull attached to the head of Mr. Rogers. She ran out of the room, but tripping over the handle of the blunt instrument. She fell down the flight of stairs. When she reached the bottom, her head slammed against a solid cabinet, knocking her out cold. She woke in a dark room. When she stood, she noticed it was a room filled with hundreds of mirrors. Her reflections were projected in every part of her view. Everywhere she looked, she saw her sickly face and exhausted eyes. Her heart began to pound. Where was she? Aren't you happy he's gone? He won't hurt you anymore, said the same voice from months before. Alice spun around looking for where the voice was located, but she only saw her own pathetic reflection. Who are you? I want answers, she screamed at the top of her lungs. Cracked laughter filled the dark room. Don't you remember me, Alice? I am your friend, your first friend. I am Zero. A long silence filled the room. You imagined me so I could protect you. But if I am imagined, I can't help. So, I had to find a way so I can always protect you. I'm simply part of your conscience. So, in fact, I am you, the voice whispered. No, you aren't. You couldn't be. Unless you are a demon, Alice asked shakily. No, of course not. I am a friend, here to do what I was told to do all those years ago. But you ignored me after your parents' death. I was very lonely, Alice. And I'm getting stronger. You can't control me anymore, Alice, said the sinister voice. My parents? Wait, I remember. Alice thought to herself, You told me to go to the road. You made me kill my parents. Tears flowed down her burning cheek. Why, yes, I had to. They wouldn't let us play, so I couldn't protect you, because they did. So I needed to go, so I could do my job. That is what you ordered me to do, after all. To protect you. Alice's cries stopped. She stood there in silence, her entire body filled with uncontrollable rage. Without warning, she ran her fist into the mirrors, each and every one. You took everything away from me. Everyone is gone. I have no one. I am nothing. She screamed as she continued to punch each of the reflective mirror surfaces until her knuckles bled. As she ran to the next mirror, she tripped over something. When she looked back, she saw the crimson glazed sledgehammer. Picking it up, up, and she violently smashed it into everything. Glass flew around the room, hitting Alice in several places, cutting her deeply, but she couldn't feel anything anymore. She was completely void of anything at this point. She stopped her fit of rage, violently catching her breath, standing on the glass-filled floor, splattered with her own blood dripping from her hands. She glanced around the room until she saw her reflection in the corner of the room. It was smiling. She ran towards it with her blunt instrument smashing herself through the mirror. Her eyes opened slowly, blinding white light entering her eyes. The cold tile floor pressing against her aching back. She slowly sat up, seeing what was in her bathroom. She grabbed the counter to help her up. When she finally got to her feet, she looked at herself in the large mirror. After many minutes of complete silence, she finally burst out into a fit of violent laughter. A giant smile stretched across her face. Both her skin and hair had been completely bleached white, and her large black circles surrounded her eyes, reaching from her eyebrows to her cheek. Ha ha ha! Now this is more like it. I finally feel like myself, she said. Please, leave me alone. With the lips of that were previously Alice's. I have, for much too long, Zero responded. Alice did not respond. She was gone. Ha! I kind of look like a skeleton, but not quite, she said, admiring her white complexion. She left the bathroom, walking down to the living room, grabbing some scissors, needle, and thread. When she entered the bathroom again, she set down her supplies and smiled into the mirror. A skeleton needs her teeth, she said as she ran the sharp scissors into her cheeks, blood gushing down to her chin. The blades pinched the muscle and nerves in her flesh on each side of her face. Crimson liquid continued to pour. After the large cuts were finished and reached her face from ear to ear, she grabbed a needle and thread and began to sew her face in a vertical pattern as to look like lines across, only her mouth being free from its gap. Ugh, red. I hate that color. Remember, Alice, the blood pouring from her father's scalp, and the red flames that consumed your mother. These colors were the last I remembered before you locked me away. Best not to be reminded, she said, as she bent down to the tile floor and dipped her index finger into the bleach. She stopped and bent her head back, letting the finger above her eye, dropping the liquid into each eye. They began to sting and then burn as if they were on fire, and she couldn't see anything for a few moments. When her vision finally returned, the once crimson liquid turned into a deep black blood. As she looked around, everything she saw was either a deep black, blinding white, or a faded gray. She didn't have to see the horrible color again. Finished with her work, she walked out into the hall when she heard the phone. Walking into Alice's bedroom and answered it. Hello? She said in a sly tone. Alice, oh my god, you alright? I haven't seen you in months. I've been trying to get a hold of you forever. Anne spoke in a panic. I'm fine. Great, actually, Zero giggled. Good. Could I come over? Or could you come over? I got something for you, she said excitedly. Yeah, I'll be right over. Zero responded, quickly hanging up afterwards. Her smile widened, stretching the skin held by the thread. She quickly walked out of the room, picking up the hammer and running out of the house and into the autumn woods. She emerged on the other side, walking up the empty street. A solid soiled tool dragging behind her, grinding against the concrete. She giggled to herself as she approached the house. The light in the kitchen remained on, even though the car was gone. Anne's shadow ran across the small lit window. Zero, growing impatient, walked up the steps and slowly knocked on the oak door. I'll be right there, Alice. Man, you're gonna love your gift. Anne yelled from another room. When she opened the door, her grin quickly faded. What once was her friend, instead stood a white monster. Silence filled the home for several moments before Anne ran towards the living room. Zero grabbed her forearm before she could get away and threw her against the hardwood floor. Alice! What are you doing? Anne screamed. Zero quickly walked towards her, placing her foot on her arm, splitting it in half. Her screams filled the entire house, rattling against the walls. Ha! Alice is long gone. She won't be coming back. As for why? Well, you can't have Zero with one left. She laughed as she lifted the large hammer above her head. With all of Zero's strength, the hammer entered Anne's skull, spraying black liquid over the walls and floor. Without hesitation, she yanked out her weapon, and she took off the pieces of brain matter hanging off. Anne's still corpse lay, soft innards completely exposed. With a smirk, she left and returned with a large cleaver. Let's see what we can do with this, she said as she turned Anne's lifeless body around so her stomach touched the floor. She picked up the knife and ran a line across both Anne's legs, arms, and back. She suddenly tore open the cut, muscles and tendons splitting and snapping as more black liquid poured out. She repeated this to the rest and then dug her hands into her back, gripping the ribcage. She pulled and finally yanked out both the spine and ribcage. Laughing, she placed it next to Anne's body, and next she placed the arms and then legs. They were all in the right order. Anne's skeleton laying beside her flash. The only thing missing was a skull. Your skull is too damaged and would be too much of a bother to take off all the skin. So, I know. Zero dipped her hand in the pool of black blood and drew a zero in the place of the head on the skeleton. Perfect. Now you're just like me, a lonely skeleton. Oh, what's this? Something besides the body caught her attention. A box with a white ribbon on top, the tag reading to Alice. Why, thank you, Anne. You know I hate color, she said as she swung the cloth around her neck. Red and blue lights began to fill the dark room through the front window. Well, this was fun, Anne. And now, with you gone, we finally have Zero, said the white-faced killer as she raced out the door and into the dark woods.